And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, the Daily Hi-Fi Show coming in, ready to rock and roll. All right, folks. So thank you for tuning in. We certainly do appreciate it. My name is Ron from New Record Day, as you know. And I've got my friends here. We've got Technograndpa, and we also have Youthman.
I thought you said friends.
What's going on, guys?
I have a couple friends with us.
You mentioned, okay. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, so we've got Technograndpa, we have Youthman, and then we have Joey from Joe and Tell.
I'm standing today. I've been sitting too much.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. We won't judge.
All right. So thank you for waiting. I'm sorry that we were a little bit late. We had a little technical difficulties, but essentially the way that I want to kick off the show today is by letting you know that the way that we've been doing the Daily Hi-Fi Show since we've been doing the Daily Hi-Fi Show is we basically take turns going from channel to channel, pop in there. And the way this goes is we just chat. We want to help. It's where our heart is. So we have a way for you to call in a little bit later in the show, and you can ask any questions that you want to ask us, and we'll give you the best answers that we can. And then another thing that we have been working on, and I need your guys' help here to help pad this and bring it up, is we started an actual YouTube channel for Daily Hi-Fi. Now, the purpose of that channel is instead of doing this ping pong game and going from channel to channel, we want to be able to do this in one place. But the stipulation on being able to do that is getting enough subscribers and views on that channel. So please, you're doing us a big solid. I've got it here listed, youtube.com/Daily Hi-Fi. Bookmark it, remember it, go there now. Whatever you got to do, make sure you subscribe, and we really do appreciate it.
Exactly.
That was awesome, Ron.
Heck yeah,
you're so good at asking for stuff in a nice way.
Man.
I'm good at demanding, but asking, you're much better.
Well, thanks, man. Will you go get me some tacos? Because I'm kind of hungry right now. All right. So anyhow, let's go ahead and kick off the show. What we're going to do is we're going to start the show in terms of the agenda is just, saying hi to everybody, letting everybody kind of have a chance to let us know what's going on in their audio world, what's going on, in our lives. And then we're going to hop into the questions. Now, the questions that we have for you are either questions that we have gotten from you guys in the past that we're going to ask, we're going to try to ask and answer, or they're questions that we've came up with that we've been thinking about throughout the week. So let me go ahead and get started. My week has been good. Obviously, with Corona and COVID-19, things have changed. Our lives are kind of turned upside down. We're all a little bit stir crazy, but we're hanging in there and we're doing okay. Everybody is healthy, and my heart goes out to anybody that has been dealing with any kind of drama and suffering and heartache because of this. So we're doing well. I've been trying to lock myself in the studio here and just get videos out. I'm working on the Strata 2 review, which will be out hopefully tonight, tomorrow at the latest. And then I'm going to do another teardown of the Klipsch RP600M. So that will be out again, hopefully by tomorrow. Fingers crossed if I can get all the editing done. And that's been my week. What about you guys? Let's hear from you guys.
Man, go ahead, Chana.
Well, let's see here. I've been doing a lot of cleaning because I'm doing a home theater tour video, and my TV stand is all glass. So, metal and glass. So
a home theater tour.
Got to yeah.
You know what you did.
You know what you did.
Yeah, man. People have been asking, and I haven't done one since 2017.
Dang.
And that was for Home Theater Tour 2.0. And I did one in 2016, which is the very, very first one. I got to find a clip from that so you could see like
well, before and after.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And,
yeah, man. And this on every Saturday, you're making it pop off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The live stream was great. We had 100 people, just about 98 this time around. And got that second angle in there, did a little DJ tutorial of like what I'm actually doing so that people kind of know what's happening on there. And then next week, I'm also going to be streaming to Periscope as well as Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. So expand it. So if you're like on Twitter and you get the alert, you can just tap it on Twitter and it'll open up right there.
Wow, you're everywhere. Did you see my kids dancing to your
Dude, that was
DJing?
hilarious. Yeah, that Instagram was awesome. She got all dressed up.
She got dressed up. I put on like my flashlight had that strobe feature.
Yeah.
We straight up had a party over here. No
Yeah,
joke.
you did.
So thanks for DJing.
Of course, man. Of course. Awesome.
Michael, what you got going on?
Man, we've been literally just cleaning up around the house. We've literally gone through all of our cabinets. We're painting, playing. There's a game called Spinners. It's kind of like dominoes.
Okay.
With the kids. So we've been doing a lot of that. The girls have been heavily using the theater room now for Fortnite. Like right now they're in there playing Fortnite. So they're tearing it up. And then I've been going through, I actually watched the Money Heist on Netflix. So season 4, went through all 4 of those, or 8 what do you call them? Not series, but episodes.
Yeah.
In like 2 days. So just finished editing a video today. So that'll be up tomorrow. So just all kinds of stuff, man. Just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But life is
We
good,
just
man. You
finished,
can't complain.
we just finished season 3 of Ozark too. Like we just jammed through that. Like we're like, crap. Now what else is there to watch?
Yeah, I've been watching some videos from you guys. Ron, I like that SVS video.
Thanks, man.
That was excellent. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Tear down, and you can tell you spent a lot of time extra.
Yeah.
You went above and beyond on that one.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And very fair too. Like your assessment lined up with what I heard. And Chana, you those are your speakers that I checked out. So
right.
I don't know if you watch New Record Day reviews, but that's the guy right there.
This is Don from
This is Don. Don is the guy without the beard. Ron is the guy with the beard.
Yeah. So as far as for me, I'm just like I was telling you guys, I did that whole Marie Kondo thing. I cleaned up the whole house. It took 30 days. KonMari the whole place. So our place is looking good. You can't tell here because this is my work area, but it's all right. It's tidied up, and been working on a huge project which I'm excited to tell everyone about very soon. I think it's going to be huge, and I just don't want to say anything until I have something in the show.
There you go.
Right.
I like surprises. That'd be good.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, let's stay on track. Let's go ahead and fire off these questions. The first one, I'm just going to go in order, is from Mr. Joe. I'm going to pull that up on the screen here. And Joe's question is, what are the effects of the hi-fi trade shows being canceled or postponed? What do you guys think? Let's dive in.
Well, let me just say, number one is I don't get to see you guys, and not everybody, because we were all supposed to go to Expona, and now that it's postponed till
Dude, that was
August,
next week.
It was
We're all
supposed to be
supposed to
next
meet
week.
up and hang out next week.
Yeah. So that doesn't get to happen. And you were saying, Chana, that even if everything was no COVID, none of this stuff, you wouldn't have been able to go because you have stuff going on in August, right?
Yeah, for when the other date. I mean, who knows now?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, because that could even change. Just playing this thing day by day.
So that's the thing. That's something for us that we weren't able to meet up. I was really excited to like hang out and just just have a lot of fun over there and just do our thing.
It was gonna be awesome.
But I would say for companies, it's not good for these companies, right? A lot of times, they rely heavily on China for manufacturing some of these companies, and because of that, they are not able to pump out products, so they don't have products to sell. I don't know if it's the case, but I think sales should probably be up because people are staying home, and right now, I think is a great time for you to treat yourself to some nice speakers, a nice home theater. Get yourself a projector, do all those things that you've been wanting to do. You have the time, set it up, you can have stuff delivered to your door. So I think sales are up. I'm not too sure about the rest of the stuff, maybe on the production side, that's not so good, but what do you guys think?
I think the hardest thing, financially for them is the fact that even though people are home, some people are uncertain, like where the economy is going. And so some might be kind of apprehensive to spend quite a bit of money now. Or maybe wanting to hang on to it. So, and I've seen even just the opposite. My sister owns a glass door store, and so she, it seems like those people, they're just like, all right, we're ready to do it. Now that was prior to the lockdown here. Like we literally didn't get locked down until Friday night of last week. So we were kind of
Yeah, that was pretty late.
Yeah, definitely. So, but a lot of things are changing, but we're just gonna take it one day at a time.
I think we did a self quarantine before the California lockdown. Like when you were going to check out JTR, when you were like going on the plane and stuff, I'm like, oh wow,
yeah,
we're all ready. Like, and then on top of all of this nonsense, it's been snowing balls. Like it's crazy. Like we just got 2 feet overnight last night too. You know, waking up to the snow plow, and you can hear the avalanche bombs on the mountain. Because they still have to like prepare all of that, so there's no avalanches happening, right? So it's all crazy, and then it's like, oh yeah, we can't go snowboarding. So.
Yeah,
This is
not much snow down here in Florida.
Nope.
I'm just looking at the comments here. Pote says, I put a pause on buying stuff for the home theater just in case. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Why put a pause on buying stuff for home theater just in case?
Maybe just in case,
like the economy tanks, or it's going to be a lot longer than what we think. I think is what he's saying.
Oh, so like try to limit your spending type of
deal. Just put some money in the bank just in case this thing is a lot longer than we think it's going to be.
Well, you're not going out, so you're not spending money. So buy those speakers. You're not going out. You're not going to you're not going out to restaurants right now.
You're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Your gas money that you usually spend, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. I mean, everything you guys said is exactly how I feel. Expona was a big bummer for the same reasons that Joey mentioned. I've already been to a show with Joe, and I think we had a great time. It was a lot of fun to be able to hang out with them. And I was thinking, man, we get all 4 of us, the wrecking crew, in there. I was so stoked.
It's gonna be fun.
I was so stoked to be able to hang out with you guys. And so perhaps it was a bit selfish, but I was really bummed for that very reason. I couldn't get to see my homies. So
I was looking forward to the arm wrestling rematch.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been working out.
Yeah, you have. You have. Oh yeah. Well, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
John and a little disco shorts back there.
What do you, in the 2-channel world, Ron? What do you think? How does all this affect some of those companies that you talk to wearing PJs back there?
I see that, dude.
Yeah,
so in his jammies.
I have talked to a couple manufacturers that are like smaller shops, whether they're a cable company or just a smaller 2-channel type company, and at least the ones that I've talked to, they said it's been really strange. They've actually had a hard time getting sales. So a big part of the money that they get is the result of going to the shows and getting attention on their products. And so that's what I've heard. And so that's been something I've heard a couple of times now is, it's quiet. It's a little quiet right now. Yeah. So we're just kind of weathering the storm. We're having to be, we're having to adapt to this situation. We're trying to think strategically, how can we adapt to the situation is what they're saying.
Well, yeah, I can see that. For you guys in the chat, I'm kind of curious to see how many of you have actually been to a hi-fi trade show.
Yeah.
If not, why not? And do you want to attend something like that in the future?
Yeah.
That's my question. Answer in the comments there.
Yeah, kind of curious. Yeah, I'm curious myself. Let's see here. So we'll go ahead and move on to my question of the week. And how low does a speaker, bookshelf, floor stander need to be able to play without you feeling the need to get a subwoofer? That is my question for the week. What do you guys think?
5.
5 hertz.
And that is the correct answer. 5 hertz.
Kidding.
Okay. So are we talking 2-channel? We're talking home theater.
Ooh.
Because to me, that's
perfect. Yeah.
Up the ante there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's me. So I was thinking 2-channel audio, but
sure,
both. Let's dive in. Let's say both.
Okay. So my answer is 35 hertz for 2-channel.
Okay.
30, 35 hertz. And the reason I say that is because I remember that Dyna's speaker. That,
I knew you were
that I
going to
made.
go here.
Yeah. Do I need a sub? And so I find 35 hertz because 35 hertz with room gain, right?
Mhm.
So you have those somewhat near, not super close to the walls, but you know, your room is going to add bass too, right?
Yeah.
So now we're getting down pretty low. And I think for 2-channel, that's fine. For movies, I know what Michael's going to say. Movies is not acceptable. 35 hertz is not acceptable for a movie.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
Get out
well,
of
you're
here.
right. You're right.
So let's hear what you guys got to say.
I'm not sure about like how low frequencies are in 2-channel, you know, so I can't tell you if, you know, if 50 hertz would be enough, 40 hertz, 30 hertz. I know you don't need, you know, down to 20 hertz for sure.
You shut your mouth, Michael.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Now for home theater, like, I mean, honestly, I would love to get down to 20 hertz, but I mean, there's a lot of speakers that don't. Like my La Scalas, they play down to about 70. You know, what they do play is super clean, very low distortion, but they're not going to dig very low at all. So they're not ideal for home theater, you know, without a subwoofer by any means.
Yeah.
But 20 hertz, man, if you can dig down to 20, that's great, you know, but
20.
Chana, how
That's gonna be
low
low,
how low do your PA speakers go? Like, you know, like when you're setting up a DJ setup, because that's one thing.
they're higher, right, Chana?
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna
they-
look it up. I don't know off the top of my head actually.
35, 40.
I bet
I would
bet
imagine
30 or
depends
40.
on- I would
something
imagine
around there.
depending on the room too. I mean, that's going to play a big part of that.
Yeah. But as far as just their normal,
Frequency
Ability.
range is 45.
Okay.
so it's even higher. Yeah.
Okay.
45. And then I have an 18-inch subwoofer, and these are 12-inch.
Those
So
are
the-
12s in the PAs.
Yeah, and the PAs. And then there's a crossover built in that activates at 80. So the sub 18 takes
Handles
care of
all of
everything
it.
else.
Yeah.
What were you saying that you're when you're mastering? Where do you cut off? A lot of times, roll off.
Oh,
let's
dude,
say.
roll off at 30, and on the high end, 17 or 18K.
Wow.
Like that's what the mastering engineer wants. Because if it's gonna be, because you have to imagine, like the music is gonna be played on whatever, so
Sure.
they have to just take the main chunk of it.
Gotcha.
Although there are people that are doing all this crazy stuff with like sub bass, and they're like layering bass, meaning like I can have a bass in a regular octave. Let's say it's somewhere between 80 and 130 or 200 hertz, and they're bumping it down another octave to go underneath that, just to have that like rumble kind of thing going on. So there's a lot of that going on in newer production styles these days. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I would say my answer is very close to Joe's. I'm going to say 36 hertz. I was
say
thinking
the
about,
price is
he's
right,
a copycat.
man.
That's what happened.
no, I'm not. I swear I'm not. I've got a
They go 1
legit
hertz
answer.
higher.
So the reason why I mentioned 36 hertz is that in the other home, my NXoticas, without the help of subs, play down to 36 hertz. And all too often, I didn't feel the need to pull out the H frames and turn them on and get them going. I found that for the majority of the music that I was listening to, just the NXoticas playing down that low was fine. Now, in this room, they drop off like a rock at 50, which that ain't going to cut it. So, yeah, I found that maybe that mid 30s for me, somewhere in the 30s, I think that's acceptable to get by with most music out there, at least for me. That's my opinion.
Boom. I'm also replying to people in the chat here.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff here that
I just did that too, because Thomas said, aren't THX Cinema subwoofers supposed to only go down to 50 hertz and slowly roll off? I don't know about that. I know THX, the ones I had in the Miller and Kreisels rolled off at 80. Like literally it was like 79. And that was 79 to like 22,000 or something like that. But the subwoofer went down. like I think to like 30.
Hmm.
But
Which- Thomas, where
that's
is he?
the M&K X10. I reviewed that a while back.
Yeah, no, there's no way that the THX subs are only supposed to go down to 50 hertz. Like that's for
Yeah.
sure not
Yeah.
a thing. I think I remember them needing to go down to like 20 hertz or below, from what I've read.
Yeah, they got some guidelines for everything. I just
Yeah.
got the Parasound A51 all connected, and that's THX Ultra 2 certified, so it's pumping out 400 watts into 4 ohm speakers. Like what? You know, so all the THX specifications are going to be pretty up there, especially for like Ultra 2 or whatever
Yeah.
they're calling it these days. Ultra 2 is like their older, like, hierarchy system.
Hey, Chana, good segue for your question, bro. Do you want to go ahead and read that off? So you're asking how to integrate like older gear with like newer tech is what you were saying?
Yeah. So I got to, I get questions all the time, and some people pull out equipment from their garage and they want to, they have an amplifier or whatever. Or, like sometimes they'll have like a 12-band EQ. It's great to see that kind of stuff. A lot of the times though, it's pretty tough. Now I did get what did I do with that thing? I did get this thing the other day. It's like $30, and it's basically a Bluetooth receiver with
Okay.
audio outputs, right?
Okay.
Left and right audio outputs. It's both long range, low latency, optical support. So it's got an optical output as well.
There you go.
And you can add Bluetooth to your older, whatever equipment you have, your receiver or, maybe an integrated amplifier or something like that. But this question, it was asked sometime today, like at like 2-3 in the morning. This guy had an older Sony preamp and an older Sony power amp, and it was a 5.1. He says very old, and he wanted to get something new, but he still wanted to use his old school stuff because they don't make it like that anymore. And I was like, okay. And he was a bit confused, like he wanted to still use the older Sony preamp as well. And I was like, well, you can just use the amplifier and get something like a Denon X3600H, which has more than enough room to grow. If he just has the 5 channels, he can output all that. And then if he wanted to add 2 Atmos channels, he can power that from the AVR and he's good to go. So
yeah, you know what? I would say kind of the same thing is Ron, you have a lot of 2-channel gear.
Yeah.
And it's new stuff, but this is just joking, but a lot of that stuff is acting as if it was like old. You know what I mean? Like there's no technology in those things.
It's true.
It's like
yeah.
going backwards, like just keeping it simple, but using excellent quality parts, right?
Sure.
So I think it would be the same for you. I'm kind of curious I know you love your preamps, but I would kind of be curious to see what you would think if you had an AVR, right? Like a Denon X3600H. And then use your amps, so use that as a preamp,
And
right?
yeah.
2-channel, and then if you want to get crazy and do a home theater thing, you can just press of a button right there, go from pure direct to Atmos. That might be interesting. Same thing is to answer this question, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. And that's a good place for me to jump in. I mean, that was one of the things that I like so much about the NADM10 is that the feature set on that was pretty compelling, and I think that ultimately that feels like an amplifier from the future, especially for me, where like Joey said, and it is a somewhat of a joke, but it's true that a lot of the high-end hi-fi gear, you're not going to find built-in Bluetooth. You're not going to find all these fancy smanchy things that are built into it. And so what you're dealing with is equipment that is kind of bare bones. And so integrating something like, whether it be Dirac or room correction or anything Bluetooth related would require something like what Joey just said. And that's exactly what my answer would be, is that, yeah, you would be looking at getting a, hi-fi or home theater type receiver or something like the NADM10, using that as a preamp and then using the feature set as your preamp essentially is the way that you would do that.
Now that's assuming that you're okay with the preamp and the DAC setup
Yeah.
in the
Sure.
AVR. Now
Right.
you as a high-end hi-fi guy, you get to try out all these things. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, I was okay with it with the NADM10. I mean, heck, it's crazy to think that I had the NADM10 plugged into those Manly 300B mono blocks. Those things are like 10 grand, north of 10 grand. And I had no problem doing that. I was like, this is rad that I can actually access Cobas, Tidal, Dirac, room correction, multiple frequencies for subwoofer cutoffs, and everything was running into these 300B amps, and it sounded freaking glorious. I was totally happy with it.
I love that, like the intersection between high end and the new tech stuff. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And it'll only get better.
Yeah. So, anywho, all right. So who's next on this one? Mike, have you gone? Have you ran into this?
What's that on this one?
Well, he gets all those Youthman deals, so
yeah.
He's like, I just walk outside and I get something for $2. Yeah.
No, now they're coming through Amazon. They're just shipping them to me. They're like, hey, dude, just take it. Nah. That's one of those things that I find in the home theater space, it's harder to integrate older stuff with newer stuff. I see a lot of guys that, try to hang on to the old stuff just out of saving money, which is okay. But then they're like, how come this isn't integrating with this? Well, it's because the technology is moving so much faster than what they're, trying to keep up with. And at some point you have to upgrade. You can, it's like a guy that says, I don't have HDMI, but I want Dolby Atmos. So I'm trying to hook it up with like a Toslink, a fiber optic cable.
Right.
And you just can't get that with that, and so at some point you've got to just embrace it, sell something, do something to earn a little bit extra money and, just go for it. But I think that's just the hardest thing. You can fight it for a long time, but 5, 6, 7 years, depending on what that technology is, it's going to catch up with, and you're going to have to upgrade some things to make it work.
I like that idea from what was that NAD, Chana, where they switch out the video portion.
Oh, they switch out the HDMI board.
That's kind of cool.
HDMI 2.1. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when I asked
it's
them,
like modular, then
but you need to send it in. Like,
yeah,
you need to send it in.
But it's somewhat modular. It's not like they got to replace the whole board.
I thought they said they could do it. I thought they said you could unscrew and like do it yourself. No?
When I asked the guy, he was kind of unsure about it. I mean, you were standing there. He said, because I asked him, I was like, is that something we could do on our own, or is that something you guys do? He's like, you can do it, but it's preferable to just send it in.
Okay.
But just to make sure everything's working right. And then if it's something like a $3,000 AVR, I mean, might as well just send it in. Let the professionals handle it. Unless you want to like tackle an HDMI board, that's on you.
Chana or Michael, I know that you guys have a little bit of experience with Emotiva, and Anthony is asking, it's kind of a broadband question, so we might need a little more information from you, Anthony, but you say, I just bought Emotiva 5-channel amplifier and was wondering what you guys think of it and any tips or anything. I
mean, the interesting thing with the amplifiers, there's not much tips because you can't really tweak it. You basically hook it up, depending on whether you have RCA or XLR. You're not going to get better sound out of XLR. Sometimes that will help eliminate some hum if you have a hum issue or any kind of noise issue. But it's not like you're going to hook up XLRs and it's like, wow, this is amazing, much better than RCA. So I would say hook up whichever method you prefer.
Well, how about this, Mike?
You got to run Odyssey or whatever software you got.
That's what I was going to say. Would you recommend them run the room correction again?
Yeah, 100%. Because all your settings are based off of that internal amplifier inside your receiver. And so anytime you change out components, whether it's subwoofer, amplifier, definitely a preamp, processor, receiver, those types of things, go ahead and run the calibration software. If you're, again, talking about that technology, some guys are still holding on to old technology and they don't have that room correction software. So, but if yours does, definitely rerun that because that's going to affect the levels on that.
Cool.
You know what I did? I didn't rerun it, and I
Yeah.
just put it in, and like all my 5 ear level speakers got this boost of like volume, and I was like, yeah,
It's like,
I like
that.
this.
That's hilarious.
And then
That's
I ran
funny.
it again. I was like, okay, it's more balanced when you run it again.
Yeah.
So
You know, speaking
should
of that,
probably run
one
it
thing
again.
I wish manufacturers would be able to do, and maybe they can, but I haven't figured out a way to do it, is let's say you buy a subwoofer and you want to just calibrate just that subwoofer channel. You know what I'm saying? Like you replaced a subwoofer instead of rerunning Odyssey on all 11 of my speakers and my subwoofers. It's like, okay,
Mm.
you know,
Can
leave
you
these
just go in and
alone.
fix that one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a way around there. Maybe there's a hack or something. I don't know, but I haven't figured that out yet. So it stinks, you know.
I agree with that. Well, I guess mini DSP, right?
Yeah, we
So-
got a question right in line with similar things. So yeah, Youthman.
All right. Saw the latest mini DSP video, collective thoughts. That means all of us. So as far as mini DSP, that is brand new to me. A lot of guys have said, hey, you really need to check this thing out. And I'm thinking, I'm not ready to dive into that yet. I got the mini DSP about a year ago and just kind of sat on it. I dove in a little bit and I'm like, man, this stuff's way over my head. It'd be nice to have somebody just come over, walk me through, show me how it's done instead of me just watching countless videos. And even looking online, I really had a hard time finding a video that walked you, you know, very precisely step by step through that process. And I just didn't see that until Stephen Smith made his video. And it's an hour and a half long. It's very long, but it's pretty stinking concise. I mean, you can walk through it, but it does take some time. Even with somebody's help that is very familiar with mini DSP, we spent 4 hours dialing in my subwoofers. So
remotely, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, remotely. Yeah. So it's a process. It really, really is, because every room is different. Everybody wants me to, they're like, Michael, that the video was good, but we want to know the steps you took to get that flat.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's no 1, 2, 3, and your room's going to be flat. There's a lot of kind of back and forth and trying this and adjusting the, and I even forget what it's called. Yeah. That room curve or house curve.
The house curve. Yeah.
Oh man, there was so much to it. And sometimes it's like, okay, let's turn the speaker sideways. Let's just see, you know,
Yeah.
You turn a speaker sideways, you run your measurement, take another measurement, you pull it out away from the wall 6 inches or 8 inches. And, yeah. You know, and let's just try some different things. And so there's no magic formula. You've got to just get in it and spend some time. But
yeah,
I'm loving what I'm hearing though. That's
cool.
the amazing thing. I mean, it's, I'm hearing all the frequencies instead of having these big, you know, dips in the frequency response. So that's what's kind of phenomenal to me, man. It just feels good.
Very cool.
I think we can answer that previous question, and thanks to On to Red for the super chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. He asked, have you guys ever set up the receiver manually with no Odyssey at all? And so, you know, that's kind of similar question with the mini DSP.
Yeah.
You know, the only problem with the mini DSP that I've tried, it's only 2 in, 4 out, right? So it's only 2 channels coming in. You'd need something. They do have some that are like 8 channels in, and you'd be able to process all the channels. But what you'd need to do if you wanted to run no Odyssey, means that your speakers are, you know, you have no bass problems in your room, right? That would be the only reason why you'd want to not run Odyssey, because I made a video where I was talking about how you could run Odyssey and limit it to certain frequencies, right? So if you don't want it to adjust the, you know, frequencies over 500 hertz because you think it degrades the sound, well, you can limit that. And so that's awesome. But I think most people will have issues below 500 hertz, especially in the bass region. You will have issues, and that's where you need some of this correction. And so Odyssey does a good job of that. If you, for whatever reason, you wanted to use, let's say, a mini DSP, you would need something with more than just 2 channels, unless you're only doing 2 channel, right? So, and you'd also need to go preamp, right, to the mini DSP to a power amp. So you couldn't do that all in one on one AVR, integrated AVR.
That's gonna be tough. Yeah.
Impossible, right?
Mhm.
To do it with one AVR without a power amp.
Yeah.
Now,
Separately.
Mini DSP does have a 4x10 HD and a 10x10 HD.
Yeah.
I think
So, but I have no idea what that is.
Well, you need more than 4 channels in because it has multiple
Right.
channels going out. So if you wanted to split out different subs or if you want to do your own crossover network, but with Atmos, you're going to need as many inputs as
Right, correct.
right. So
Now, the interesting thing that I found out with that Mini DSP is I assumed since I had 2 subwoofers, I would come sub 1 out from the pre-pro into the Mini DSP, sub 2 out from the pre-pro into the Mini DSP, but you actually only use 1. And the biggest reason is that you don't want your receiver or your pre-pro to have any influence on that. You just, because you're just getting a mono signal anyway.
Mhm.
Sure.
So you bring 1 signal in, and then from the Mini DSP, that's where you kind of dictate what's coming out of that. So that's pretty slick. I would have assumed you would have done both of them, 2 in, 2 out kind of thing in my setup. But really, we only did 1 in, 2 outs.
Hopefully that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
I actually just got a delivery from Mini DSP today. Guess
Oh,
what
yeah?
it is?
Oh,
I got a
yeah.
mic. I got a mic.
I can't wait to see how
yeah.
how messed up your room is.
You're
can't
right.
wait to see.
I already
It
know.
sucks, man.
I
Yeah.
already know, but yeah, it's something new to play with.
Very cool.
Chana's enjoying those rail subs, man.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you, Ron? Have you messed with mini DSP before?
I have.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. Surprise. I actually bought a Mini DSP 2x4 years ago, and I started messing around when I was really interested in building speakers and seeing how crossover slopes work. And that was just a fun, interesting little science experiment, if you will, to where I would mount the 2 different drivers, run it through the Mini DSP, and then I would just sit there in the listening position and I would change the different slopes from, let's say, a first order slope to a second order to a third order. And I would hear the changes and then change where they intersect and meet. And it was a lot of fun. So,
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for speaker builders because you don't have to have a bunch of capacitors and resistors and making new networks to try. You just mess around, and then afterwards, if you like it, then you can make the crossover network that does that. So
exactly. And it was the first time that I was kind of freaked out by where a lot of stuff sits in the music and like what band it sits in and how far off I was thinking, like what leads to a bright speaker and where those frequencies are. Because as you change that tweeter and that woofer response, it was crazy to hear where stuff actually is sitting in the mix.
Yeah, you were talking about that in the SVS review. You're saying that like what people consider a bright speaker is not really what you might think. It's not the highest of the highs.
No, it's way down. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
I think that's like somewhere between 2 to 6K.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yep.
If you ever heard a child scream at the top of their lungs at that high pitched, that is the most sensitive.
A few
That's
times
bright.
in my life.
That's the bright part.
That's what you want to cut out right there.
I've heard Chana scream that loud and that high.
Yeah, on that live stream.
Well, gentlemen, we got one more question from Youthman, and then we're going to open up the phone line. So, guys, go ahead and get ready to call in. We'll throw the number on the screen in just a second. But, Youthman, you wanted to know, describe the first hi-fi system that you wanted to purchase.
Yeah, so think back to when, for me, it was a teenager. I was probably about 12 years old, 13 years old. And, what was that first? You went into that store, and you're like, dude, I gotta have that. That is just rad. But of course, you don't have any money, so you just want it forever. What was that system? What did that look like?
Got to think about that one.
All right, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so my dad was really into this stuff, right? That's how I got into it. He had a Bang & Olufsen system from the 70s, and throughout the 80s and 90s, he was trying to upgrade to these octagonal Bang & Olufsen speakers with this crazy CD player thingamajig. Yes, CD player thing. So we started getting, a system together for me, and it was like JBLs with the Denon. But that wasn't the system I really wanted. There was this Laserdisc shop, like a rental shop that
Yeah.
opened up in town.
Yep.
And in the back, they had a Miller and Kreisel THX setup. And it was just, they had the demo rolling like pretty much all day long. And, you know, they turn that thing up for me and I'd just be like, whoa, I want that. That's what I want, you know? And luckily through YouTube, thanks to YouTube, I was able to, you know, review an $11,000 speaker system by Miller and Kreisel. Obviously didn't get to keep it, but you know, that was the one.
All right.
Nice. So I'll go next. Mine wasn't near as exciting. So, you know, being a little bit older than you, I don't know, not too much older, but I think I'm a little bit older than you. Mine was an RCA system. So think back. So when would that have been? Early 2000s. They had, no, it'd be before that. That's in the
Before
90s,
that, yeah.
late 80s, early 90s. It was like the rack system, you know, like it's all in one unit.
Mhm.
And the reason why I wanted that one is because my stepmom worked at Badcock's. So it's like a furniture store, but they sold
What's the name of that place?
Badcock. You do what you want, man.
The horny guy over there.
What the heck? What kind of name is that?
Hey, I didn't name the store, dude. But anyway, you guys are messed up, man.
Joe, are you using a speaker as a laptop stand?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thought so.
He's getting creative over there. But anyway, so it was just a rack system, and it sounded good. You know, as a young kid with no money. I mean, it was probably, I guess it was about $600 for the whole thing, you know, which was way overpriced for that system. It wasn't that great, but had, you know, large woofers, probably like dual 10s or something. So it was cool, man. Nothing
Tristan
fancy.
said he just spit out his water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Just don't go Googling that, okay?
All
right,
kinds
turn.
of crazy shit pop up.
Don't tell what you get.
Hey, do you guys remember these old school brands? I'm just looking up speakers, but do you remember like brand TIAC?
Yeah.
TEAC?
Sure.
I haven't heard of them. Heard
They
about
made,
them
like,
in a while.
A lot of tape players, right?
Yeah, TIAC. And then do you remember Akai? Do you remember that
Akai?
brand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
I
Iowa?
got some Akai Studio stuff here. So
Yeah. I think both brands are still around, dude.
Oh, serious?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
They're just quiet, huh?
Remember the little Iowa systems?
Iowa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
We used to sell those at Circuit City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My system, I think, was I used to get the Crutchfield magazines, and I couldn't afford anything in those magazines, right? I just looked through there, and so I'd see some of the stuff. Like I remember a Harman Kardon AVR that I thought Harman Kardon was like,
The best. Yeah.
at that time, right? It was
Yeah.
like, ooh, high current, yeah.
Yeah.
So high current amplifier, I thought that stuff was awesome. And then I remember hearing some you're gonna laugh, some Technique speakers that I
Yeah.
thought were cool.
Yeah.
That was my
I
first
thought they looked good.
Yeah.
So I always wanted those. What else did I want? At that time, Velodyne subs
Had
were
that.
like, yeah, Velodyne. And I remember seeing that Carver, the Sunfire True subwoofer that was like a super small sub that
Nice.
was supposed to put out like 3,000 watts or something ridiculous. And I was like, I want that thing. I never got any of those things. I did get the, car audio stuff. I did get some of the stuff I wanted, but home audio, not really. But nowadays I get stuff sent to me for review. So I'm happy. My 13-year-old self is very proud of me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Do you guys remember that the Fisher?
Yeah.
That brand? My uncle used to get the like
Oh,
big
yeah.
old like situations.
Yeah.
Like, everything's all in one spot, and then turntable up top. You got the dual tape deck, EQ, and he would mess that thing up. Like it would sound like garbage. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" And then I'd go mess with it. I'm like, there it is. Don't touch it.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
My buddy had a Fisher, and it had like the first cool remote I've ever seen. It had like this big LCD display. It was pretty slick, but it was
How about
like
you,
a little mini iPad.
Yeah.
Ron? What did you want?
Oh, dude, it's easy. 1985. If you guys remember a gentleman.
Wilson Audio.
No.
Before
I
my
was-
time, Ron.
No.
I was like one.
you guys, this is like small fry conversation. I'm going to go big. So there was a
Oh.
gentleman, if you remember, by the name of Marty McFly in Back to the Future,
Yep.
and he walked into that room with all
Yeah.
of that gear, and he turned everything up to like 10, and he had that
11.
That was 11,
11?
right? Yeah.
and he plugs in his guitar, and it was just like total explosion. I was obsessed. I was like, Dad, what is that? I want that.
Like, Dad, I want to catch my speakers on fire.
Yeah, I want to blow up the house with this thing. So
That's right.
yeah, that was a big moment for me, is watching that, man. I think I was an
funny.
audiophile right at that moment. I was like, that's what I want.
They filmed that right by our what was that? Not McDonald's. What's a Burger King?
No, seriously?
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a Burger King right there that they filmed all that, where he skateboards into it.
Yeah,
Right,
that
that
is
whole intro
awesome.
scene. Yeah,
That is awesome. Very cool.
let me turn on the call in.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, if we missed any questions here, let's go ahead and chat. But yeah, go ahead and call in, everybody. At this point, we're gonna open up the phone line. So call in with your questions.
Thomas.
And yeah, number is 818-237-3030. Don't be shy. We're here to help. So yeah.
Thomas, Danish, owns some. What, Yamo is Danish, right? I think.
So it's Bang & Olufsen, right?
I think so.
I'm wearing some Bang & Olufsen now. Headphones.
Another one from movies. Do you guys remember National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? The next door neighbors that had like that nice CD system that was up on the wall that I think something like broke the glass or something, or like Margot, and they had like all that nice fancy stuff. I don't remember. It might have been B&O, but I saw that and I was like, oh, I want that.
Margot.
Margot. It was something like that. I can't remember. It's right. Somebody will remember in the comments, I'm sure. But that was another system. I was like, I want that rig, Dad. And he's like, no, son.
All right. I think we have somebody on the air. You there?
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm here.
how's it
My
going?
name is Dean. Hi. Oh, guys, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys.
How are you tonight?
So,
What's your name and what?
can
what's
you hear
your,
me?
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
your
we
name?
can hear
And
you.
then tell us what you're thinking.
Oh, my name is Dean.
What's up,
Bean?
Dean?
Gene, as in, I mean, Gene,
That's
but
okay.
not
Gene?
without a.
Okay.
There's a little bit of delay, so just forgive us if we're talking over
Oh,
you.
yeah,
What's
okay.
What's your
So,
question?
okay, my question is, it goes to Ron. I wanted to know, like, how the UB5 compared to the XLS and Core, and I'm like, do they compare, or are they like, which one is better? And then for somebody who has the original B6 and would like to upgrade that, is it worth doing it, or just get like the XLS and Core?
Okay. So
Also, for Joey, I have I have white mica, like the one you painted in white.
Oh, nice.
So they just look cool. And now I want to paint everything. So that's my question. So I can just hang up. You can just, because I can't hear you guys.
All white everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
sure. Yeah, we'll go ahead and answer your questions. Absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna go. I'll go first. So it sounds like what you were asking was really two questions. The first question was, how do the ELAC UB5s compare with the GR Research XLS Encores? Okay, well, that's a good question. Now, the UB5s, if we're talking about the UB5s at their current price point or whenever they drop below that $300 threshold, that is a fantastic deal. Like, I cannot stress it enough.
350 just to be is the lowest I've really seen it.
Thank you. 350. So $350. If you can get those speakers at that price, I think that I would have a hard time recommending the XLS Encores, and here's why. even the standard kit of the XLS Encore is going to be close to that price, and you have to build them. So you have to go out and get the wood or get a box and put them together. Now, will you end up with a speaker at that price that is superior to the UB5s? Well, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, maybe not so much. It would greatly depend on whether or not you're getting the standard kit of the XLS Encores or if you're getting the upgraded caps and the components. At that point, you're going to be way above 350, and you still have to build them. So it's kind of a difficult. We're like comparing apples and oranges here. But if you're talking about the upgraded XLS Encore, I think that it could definitely pull in the lead pretty much in every area versus the UB5s. The UB5s require quite a bit of power to wake them up, and that's another thing that you would have to take into consideration. So they like to see current, they like to see wattage, whereas with the XLS Encores, I've been able to run those on pretty low power amps. So that takes care of that. Now, you also asked going from the B6, the original B6, to the UB5s. There's going to be some sacrifices there because you are going from a larger driver, right? The six, I think it's a 6 or 6.5 inch driver, down to the smaller UB5. The UB5 produces shockingly great bass, but at some point it's going to only be able to do so much. And we're talking about volume and bass at the exact same time. And that leads to physics. And that smaller driver eventually is going to crap out on you. Whereas with that B6, you might potentially be able to play them a little bit louder, but I don't know if they're going to dig as deep as the UB5s, because the UB5s have surprised me more than once where they can hit quite low. So is it worth that kind of an upgrade? I would say at $350. Personally, me, I would do it. I like the UB5s quite a bit. I like the B6 as well, but the UB5s are a very good speaker.
Hey, how's it going? Got another caller in.
Good.
What's your name?
Oh, am
Who's
I
calling?
on?
Yeah, you're on, buddy.
Hey, this is Matt from Seattle.
Hey, Matt.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Hey. Well, you're welcome. I've got a question, I think mostly for Chana. And a little short background. There's a movie from 1980 called Babylon, and it's all about the British Yege dub scene from Brixton, London, with like the big sound clash, the big speaker system, sound systems, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar?
No, I'm looking it up right now on IMDb, but no, I haven't seen that.
Okay. Well, most people haven't seen it because it wasn't released until throughout the world until last year. It's a long story, but in any case, it's an amazing movie with an amazing soundtrack. I play it in my system, and it lacks any sort of hard-hitting, low bass tones that you would expect with dub music.
Mm.
So what I'm wondering is, how can I EQ it to kind of compensate for that? Because it feels like the soundtrack is really what was made originally to play in movie theaters 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
now it's lacking
or EQ for vinyl or something like that for back then. But I want to be able to play it back, and I know it's possible because there's another old reggae movie that I just watched. I'll spare you all the details, but it just kicks. So if they're able to get, and it's even older, it's like from the 70s. So like what frequencies would I boost? Because I'm not an EQ, I don't know my frequency ranges and all that. I know that you need to cross over 8 hertz. That's all I know. But if I'm going to go into parametric EQ on my AVR, try to boost, try to bring some of that
you're trying
forward.
to compensate for the lack of bass, right? That's the idea here.
Well, I'm assuming that there's some of that is natively in there. It's just it's underplayed for the sake of old movie theaters or something like that, you know?
Right.
So yes.
I would say, I mean, it's tough, and I'm like really just shooting in the dark here because I can't hear it. But I would say somewhere between the 60 to 200 range. Try there, and see how that sounds. But don't be like, don't try to like boost up way down in like 5 hertz. Like we don't want anything happening down there. And another thing, when you said like the other movie really does kick, whoever mixed that one back in the day just probably had like the bass up a little bit more, or
different engineer.
Yeah, exactly. It was a different person.
Well, it definitely was. But my question is more like, is that something that I am capable of doing just with the built-in EQ in my AVR, my Onkyo, or going on for that, I actually have a mini DSP coming in the mail in a week or two.
I'm gonna have to step in here and just say, you know what? One thing I would say is, if there's no bass to boost, if it's just cut off, right? If it's low, then that's one thing, right? But if there's no bass, there's nothing to turn up, right? There's no amount of EQ that'll make that hit. But if there's some and it's just low, then what I would say is just start with the lowest frequencies, right? Turn those up and see if that makes a difference. Turn up the next band and the next band, and see just
right. You just have to
just got experiment and see where, that's making a difference right there, and that's too much, that's too little, and so you're just gonna have to play with it.
I got one other suggestion for you.
And is the range?
Go ahead.
Well, let me just ask: is the range that's available to boost and cut in a standard like Onkyo AVR, is that enough to really make a difference, or is that just more fine tuning?
I mean, you're limited to a certain number of bands. There's probably like 5 bands or something like that. I don't know. You're just gonna
like
have
9, I think.
9 bands. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's a graphic EQ. It's not a parametric. For the most part,
it is.
It's parametric. You're saying?
Oh, I think. I don't know.
Well, parametric would mean that you can change gain, Q, and frequency. So if those options aren't there, and if you're just seeing one thing that you're moving up and down, that's graphic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I got a kind of a clarifying question for you. You mentioned that you've got a mini DSP coming in. Do you have a calibration mic now with REW?
No, that's coming along with.
Okay.
So here's my suggestion, kind of before you start tweaking anything, at least measure your, do you have a subwoofer or multiple subwoofers?
I have 2, yeah.
Okay. So at least measure them first, because here's what could be happening. Let's say that particular movie has frequencies, let's just say in the 50 hertz range, say 45 to 55. So there's 10 frequencies right there. That's in a range. And if in your room you've got a null in those frequencies, you're not going to hear any bass. And like what Joe said, you can't boost that.
No.
And so you need to fix either with placement or time alignment or things like that. And the other movie that you were saying that, man, that sounds good, and it was maybe even made before that movie was, maybe those just have different frequencies, that they're focused on, kind of thing. So at least measure it first, because a lot of guys just try to fix stuff with throwing money at it or putting another subwoofer there. But literally what I'm learning is, until you can actually see what's going on in the room, you're kind of just you're just guessing at that point.
Well, I believe that this is a movie specific thing and not the room itself.
It could be
because there's so many other, but I obviously I want to get everything right in the room.
Sure.
And I will do that first. Real quick tangential question. One of my subwoofers is an M&K dual push pull sub.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there are any. First of all, if you're familiar with those, if there's any considerations that I need to make when I do eventually use Room EQ Wizard. Because it's kind of like 2 subs in one.
You would just use it as a normal single sub. There's no.
It's gonna act. The room's gonna see it as one.
Yeah.
It doesn't care that there's 2 drivers in there, or if you've got 4 drivers in a configuration, it's seeing that as one subwoofer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And my other sub is a single sub. So
it's a what?
Oh, I'm sorry. My
What
other
kind of
sub
sub
is
is-
a single sub.
Okay.
It's
And that's
also
okay.
an M&K. Yeah.
Are they both like? Are
Okay.
they both sealed, or do you have one ported and one sealed?
No, they're both M&Ks. Just one is a single subwoofer, the other is a push pull, but they're both sealed.
Okay,
Yeah.
so sealed, and that's good. It's just
Well,
harder to mix when you've got sealeds and
And
ported.
ported. Yeah, the push-pull one always is always going to be a sealed one.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
it'd be kinda hard to
model?
get
Do you know which model you
the
have?
other one?
Yeah, the push pull is an MX145, and the single is, I'm looking at it right now, it's a VX something or other. Let's see, 1250, VX 1250. Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
It was
Dude.
back in 1995 to 97.
Isobaric.
Yeah, something like that.
Very cool.
Bottom used, got a great price.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Cool.
cool, man. Well, thanks
Thank
for the questions. The first one kind of threw me off. I was like, "What is?" But appreciate
I know
all the questions.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Strange question, I know, but I thought Chana might have some insight into that, because I know that dance music is, particularly mixed to get that just body hit
Yeah.
in the bass,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of wonder if oftentimes that is by direction of the DJ, trying to take existing music and pump it up to tailor it to the crowd,
Yeah, I mean, I was actually doing that on Saturday. Somebody wanted some Bee Gees,
Yeah.
and so I just found a tech house, galloping kind of beat to go underneath it and matched it up. It actually worked really, really well. And when you're talking about actually mixing, the biggest thing is making sure the bass, the kick drum, and the actual bass line don't clash, and they both have room to breathe in the mix. So that weird portion where they both kind of overlap is around the 50 to 70 or 80 range. And with older productions, they weren't trying to do all this bass in your face. They really weren't. Not back then.
Right.
Until you're talking about Florida sound, Miami style, DJ Magic Mike and all that kind of stuff. And they had 25, 24-inch woofers in the car and stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what I noticed when I'm working
Well,
with
and
songs,
this stuff is the originators of that down in Jamaica, where giant speaker
right.
systems are 20 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, when talking to some of the live events guys here, they'll run 4 different speaker crossover points, right? So they'll have their real high horn stuff, and then their mid ranges are usually 10s or 12s. Their low end are 15s, and then their subs are 18s. So they run like a 4-way crossover when we're doing live stuff here in Mammoth. So even back then they would probably, I don't know offhand what was happening 30, 40 years ago, but I would imagine they would run something similar to that. But again, it's just hard to tell with something that old how it was actually produced and mixed and all that stuff. So it's just like luck of the draw. So one was a good mix, one was a bad mix.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for calling. We're gonna have to cut this one short.
Thanks for the insight. I know it's not general interest, but
no problem.
No, it's all good. All
Thank you,
questions
man.
are welcome. Have a great night.
All right. So we're about an hour in
already.
Yeah. What
Cool.
what else are you guys about to get into right now? I'm gonna eat. That's what I'm gonna do.
Dude,
I had an
killed a
acai
sandwich.
bowl. Have you ever heard of those?
Acai, yeah.
It's an acai bowl. So it's
Acai
basically,
bowl, yeah.
I guess it's like my wife is like, we got to get acai bowl. We've been eating crap this past 2 weeks, and so we called in, and they bring it out to your car and in the gloves and the mask and everything, but it's like a bowl of this purple. I guess that's the acai stuff. And then on top of that, you get to pick your whatever. So I'm serious, man. This is weird. It tasted good, but when you get down to the purple junk, that was kind of just weird. But yeah, so that's what we had for dinner tonight. I'll be ready for dinner in about another 30 minutes probably, but it was good though. Lots of fruit.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
pick like 4 different fruits with it.
Well, that's the way we end this one. Acai.
Yeah.
Acai.
Hey,
Yeah.
Acai.
Be like Mike and eat bowls with purple stuff in it. I mean,
man,
that's
it's
our advice.
weird. Yeah, got to try some new stuff every once in a while.
All right, you guys ready to take this one home?
Yes.
That's right.
All right, folks, thank you so much for jumping on board with the Daily Hi-Fi Show. We certainly do appreciate it. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube Daily Hi-Fi channel. As I mentioned, pretty soon we're going to be doing all these shows with your help on that channel, but we need your help. So go subscribe, please.
Subscribe, man.
Make that happen. We really do appreciate it. And that way we have just one spot where we can do the Daily Hi-Fi shows. Thank you for your support, calling in, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. I guess it's just turn in a new record day. I didn't even mean for that to happen.
Go do it right now.
Healthy,
YouTube.com/daily hi-fi.
That's
Go
right.
do it. Thank you so much.
If you don't do it, we'll unsubscribe you from our channels.
We will not do that. Mike will do that because he's been drinking purple or eating purple.
I know,
stuff.
man. I'm feeling a little weird right now.
He's got that acai in the vein.
Acai tipsy kind of stuff.
Stay safe. Be well.
Hey guys, love y'all. Have a great evening.
There you go, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.